My name is Alex. I'm the Associate Manager for the Product Support team here at Meetup, and I'm joined by some of my colleagues, Alissa and Gwyn. And we have Josh here too from the Pro team. You'll hear from him later. To start, I just want to quickly go through some of our event guidelines. We are recording this, but your video will not appear. It will just be our video. And we've also muted everyone as a courtesy. If you have questions, we have the Q&A feature where you can ask those questions, and we'll be saving time at the end to go through some of those. And we also have closed captioning available. To turn it on, just click the live transcription icon at the bottom of your screen. Next, I'll do our agenda here. So we're in our introduction period. After this, we will demo some things. And then, as I mentioned, we have the Q&A session. Go to the next slide. So we'll be covering everything in our demo section, from starting a new group, or we'll have some tips for engaging members. We have a segment for Meetup Pro, and also a sneak preview of a cool new product that we are working on called the Organizer App. So to start, I'd just like to share a little bit about how I've used Meetup. For me, Meetup is definitely a family affair. My first experience with Meetup was joining a music group, as we sort of teased earlier. But it was my first event ever. And so I was, trekking out to deep Brooklyn, New York, to go to some guy's house to play music in his basement. So very cautiously embarked on that endeavor. And then to my surprise, a very handsome trombone player opened the door and took me into his basement, where I met all of my new best friends. Me and said trombone player are now married, and we have a child. So it really is, I owe Meetup so much more than just a job for me. So I hope that I can use some of my experience using Meetup to help give you some tips and tricks for how to use it yourself. And Gwyn and Alissa also have their own nuggets to share with you throughout this presentation as well. So we will start with how to create a new group, and I'm going to hand it off to Alissa. Alissa, what would you say is the most important thing to think about when creating your first group?
So I think the most important thing to talk about when first creating a group is to be clear about what your group's purpose is and what members can expect from you. You should also think about what you like to do at your events, and well as what the intent is. What is your end goal, and how does it benefit yourself as well as your other members? So, for example, it can be as simple as starting a knitting group, or finding other members that could possibly be interested in rescuing abandoned pets, for example. So these are the steps. Step 1 is location. Step 2, we'll add group details. Step 3, we'll submit for review. And step 4 is our group approval. I just wanted to note in advance, if you're a first-time organizer, there are a few additional steps that you'll need to take, which would be confirming subscriptions and how long you want to be built for. But for all intents and purposes of this demo, we're just going to go through the meat of the steps that we take. So let's go ahead and actually go to creating that demo. So I'm going to share my screen in a moment. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen right now, right? Okay, great. All right, so this is the main Meetup page. I'm just going to go on the top right-hand corner, and we'll go ahead and start with creating a group. Just give me a second. Okay, so what I'm just going to note is I'm a really huge fan of graphic novels. So what I'm going to do is create a group from members who may have similar interests. Basically opening my mind to some new stories that I hadn't considered reading before, or to get a refreshing perspective from fellow readers about common works that we might have read. It would be good. Also, I want to support new and upcoming artists by sharing works in their group. So that's going to be the idea of the group that I have. So I'm going to go start a new group now by clicking the button on the right-hand corner. So the first step is the location. So finding the central location of your group where you can meet consistently, it will make it easier for members to gather, even if we have online events. So in my case, I believe that Manhattan is an ideal location because there's public transportation. It's typically available for everyone, and it may make it easier for members to find that location due to known landmarks like the Empire State Building or Times Square. So I'm going to just leave it as New York, New York. And the next step 2, is related to your group's topics. Relevant topics and tags will give members an idea of what they can expect. So again, mine is related to comic books. So most likely I'll pick something like geeks and nerds. I also want to enter maybe comic books. And the reason I entered comic books and comics and novels is because I want to cast a wider net of members that may be interested in this. I think these are great topics that I can use. But if you're looking for a specific type of specific topics for members to search for, then let me give you kind of an example on that. If you host a group for volleyball, for example, topics would be like sports, volleyball, exercise, and fitness. So depending on the categories and topics that members select, your group will be matched with people who share those interests. So I think that these are a good start, but in case I don't have an idea of what else I can add, we have the community team that will help you actually be able to add more topics for your group. So I'm just going to go to the next step. Okay, so my name for the meetup group is the Guild of Comic Book Enthusiast. I think that's a good name. Kind of gives the idea of what the group is about. Kind of sounds cool as well, at least to me anyway. Okay, so this is kind of the big next step. Describe what the event will be, the group will be about. What is the purpose? Who should join? What will you do at your events? So I actually have a pre-written details, so I'm going to just add it here just for time. And one of the things that I'd like to just bring on your radar is that we do have some new features for the group description. You can now actually format your text in this. So I'm just going to show a quick demo on how to do that. So that's my description. I think it's all bolded, so there we go. So I want to note, all fans of graphic novels, I'm going to just emphasize that the meetings are held bi-weekly in bold. And if I want, I can add a link here. So if you have a website that you want to share, you can already do it here. And one of the cool things that's not mentioned here is that you can also embed videos going forward. So when you go to enter your group description or you make other edits, you can add your group video link and it will be embedded into your group description. So I hope that would be a really good way of sharing more of your group's details, and hopefully you guys can also be able to use that as well for future events. So let me go to the next step. All right, so we're almost done. You just take a minute to review your guidelines. We help at add additional topics relevant to your group to provide more visibility when members are searching for events. And we also may give you some tips if you're missing valuable details so you can make your group stand out. I want to note that I'm not the most creative person when it comes to naming a group or adding some information. So let's say, for example, you're kind of not ready to put yourself out there. There's a little cool option at the top where you can save it and exit. So you can actually go back and add more details if you want later. So that's a good chance for you to make some changes if you need to before publishing. So I'm going to just select agree and continue. And voila, the group is in review. And after 24 hours, I'll get a response to see if I've been approved. And then after it gets approved, it will be shared with the Meetup community. In the meantime, while it's pending, I can actually finish setting up my group and I can write a short bio. This is just a quick demo, and we can also write a welcome message just to give a bit of feeling that, again, if you don't really know what you want to write now, you can also do this later. So I'm just gonna click done for now. Okay, and here is my group. And you can also upload a photo if you like. You can still make some edits to your group before it gets approved. So you have that to use for now. You can also set your first event. And once again, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen right now so we can actually just do a recap on the chart explaining the process. So just once again, this is the quick way that you can start a new group. Takes I would say less than 5 minutes. So I hope that this was helpful in understanding how groups are started in Meetup. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Alissa.
Thank you.
Here we go. All right, let's take a look at subscription pricing. As you can see here, we have 2 pricing tiers, and each has either a monthly or a 6-month option for billing. Our standard or core subscription allows you to have up to 3 meetup groups with no cap on how many members you can have or how many events you can host. And for most organizers, this level is perfect, but some organizers find that they want more tools and features, and that's where Meetup Pro comes into play. Pro offers a suite of tools that helps you manage a multi-group network, and we'll have a special guest from our Pro team coming up later to provide more information about Meetup Pro. Next up, we're going to talk about building a leadership team. So when I joined my Meetup group, the organizer picked up on my personal strengths and asked if I wanted to join their leadership team as a co-organizer. Organizing a Meetup group can be a lot of work for one person, and we've seen that the most successful groups have a leadership team supporting the group rather than just a sole organizer. Alissa, you're on a leadership team for some of your groups, right? You're muted.
You can hear me now, right?
Classic.
Yeah. So yes, I am actually a co-organizer for a local group similar to the one that I expressed in the demo. And I actually use it with another tool to make sure that I am keeping in touch with the organizer and also with the members regarding any events or any questions that they may have. And it's really kind of cool, actually. So in this case, what I want to do is break down some quick information about a leadership team. So what is a leadership team? Again, it's a set of people who work together to accomplish a common goal. So for the case of Meetup, they may share some responsibilities to manage a group activities, which makes it easier for the organizer, especially if the group's organizer becomes a bit overwhelmed as it grows. So just again, it's available at no cost to the organizer and at no cost to members who are assigned the roles. So just to show on the screen, there are 3 specific roles other than the organizer, which is mainly going to remain with the organizer. that can be assigned to members. The one thing that I'd like to point out about these roles is regardless of what roles are assigned, only the primary organizer can actually handle finances or subscription related matters. So just again, the core organizer on the left, they can handle group settings and manage events and join requests. Assistant organizers can manage events, join requests, contact members, and the event organizer are pretty much just that. They can message members and they can manage events. So as you can see, some of the roles, some of the tasks that they can do are a little bit restricted to each one. So that's definitely flexible for organizers if you want to use this feature. So I'm going to just share a little example of how you can use the leadership team featuring my beautiful and wonderful kitty. This is my lovely cat. Her name is Domino. She is the feline overlord and organizer of Beautiful Cat Lovers of New York City. She started the group from humble beginnings, finding other lovers of cats and looking to provide some information on proper care, shelters, or veterinarians in the area. She holds meetings twice a month. She started with a standard subscription, and she started with 20 members, and now she's reached over 158 after a year. So because of that, it became a little overwhelming, and she realized she may needed more hands to manage group activities, especially when her work schedule of looking at squirrels outside became a little more demanding. So therefore, she decided to look at her member list and was able to find some great members that have contributed. So obviously, me as the owner, I am the co-organizer of the group. This is because I can manage the group alongside the organizer, I can communicate with members, and I can also check in with the rest of the leadership team on her behalf. Additionally, I can approve or deny members in the organizer's place. So for the most part, I pretty much have almost all the same tasks that an organizer can do. So the next member of the leadership team that Domino has added is the assistant organizer. She looks really pretty. She kind of looks like me. Her name is Noemi. She's good at communicating with other members. She can also approve or deny members. She can answer questions or concerns about events and has great ideas for future group events. The next person on the leadership team is Melody. Wow, she's really pretty, and she also looks like me. I think I have like some really nice doppelgangers here. So the cool thing about Melody is that she is actually an event planner for a living. She's knowledgeable of venues that can work with our group. She can provide updates to current events, and she's also a good person to communicate with members. So the reason that Melody is an event organizer rather than the other two above is because Melody can only provide so much time with the group. As all of us are, we have day jobs and things that we need to do outside of the group. So she's able to assist, and this is the best way that we can utilize her skills. So with that said, I want to also let you know that these are optional. You do not, it's not a permanent role. You can assign them, you can remove them depending on what's going on. And there's one other tip, actually one other bonus role that you can assign, and it's called the event host. Oh goodness, this girl is so pretty too. Her name is Alex M, not to be confused with my good colleague Alex Harris. So this is an active member of our meetup group. They were chosen as a host for an event because they had some knowledge and experiences related to what the group's goals are. They receive positive feedback from other members, and they're always active and involved. So at this point, let's say Alex M decides, hey, I decided that I have somebody that I can help recommend to one of your events. And I'll also be happy to help host if you'd like. So when you create an event, you can add the member as a one-time host, and that will allow them to manage the event as well, or make any updates and communicate with members for that event only. So this is a great tool to use, especially if it's something that you want temporary. And you don't have to assign them to a leadership team. So that's also the other thing that I'd like to share. With that said, these are all the roles. And just remember that, again, it's not permanent and it's optional. And you may assign little or many roles or none at all, but you'll find this group in time as long as you get to know your members as your group grows. Also, sometimes it's okay to actually just ask a member. If you notice there's a member that really stands out and you feel that they can be a great addition to your team, you can send a small private message if you'd like, which we will actually go over. But I feel like that's actually how I ended up being a co-organizer for the group that I'm in. I was participating more often, and I used Meetup well enough to where the organizer really thought that my contributions were valuable. So next slide. Oh, and that's it for me. So thank you. I hope this was helpful.
Cool. Yeah, whenever I got asked to be a co-organizer for my group, we actually had the organizers set up just like a meeting, a planning meeting, and everyone who was interested went, and then we like talked openly about what we would like to contribute and things like that. So it was a really collaborative experience, and that's another angle you can take if you're thinking about expanding your leadership team. So next, I'm going to go over creating an event. I'm going to share my screen so I can show you that. All right, I'm gonna use this Cookie Samplers Club as an example here. So I've just started creating a new event. I find that it's worth it to put some thought into what you want to call your event, finding a good photo, and then a description that really includes all of the relevant details that your members are going to need to make a decision. So this is a cookie group. So we're going to make gingerbread cookies. And I'm just going to find a time that I think is going to work for my group. I found a photo of some enticing looking gingerbread cookies, which I think it's gonna draw my members into looking at my event and reading my description. I've pre-written something just for time here. But in my description, I've described, what we're doing. I've mentioned it's in person. I've said that everything they need will be supplied. They don't need to bring anything specifically. And I've just included some extra information that I think that they would like to know. We do have the option to add topics, and what this does is it helps us match up your event with members who have matching interests. So you can add things you think are relevant, like, this is a cookie group, so I'm going to add dessert, I'm going to add baking, and that just helps with search and whatnot. I mentioned that this is an in-person event, but if you wanted to have an online event, you can do that. And you can just select that. And then we have this field here where you would add your Zoom link or any other kind of online like video conferencing platform. But again, this is for an in-person event. So I'm going to use a venue called Milk Bar. It's in Brooklyn here. This is the one I want to use. You can see that this map location comes up. Something that maybe it's just, I think it's not just me, but as a new member going to an event for the first time, like it's a little nerve-wracking when you're showing up to this event. You don't know maybe like who to look for or something like that. So as an organizer, it's really helpful to put some extra information in the how to find us field. So for this event, I'll say meet at, and I'll add the cross streets and 6th Ave. And I'm going to say, the host will be wearing a red sweater, just so your guests know who to look for. We did recently add these COVID-19 safety measures. This helps you be clear with your members about your expectations or the venue's expectations around COVID precautions. So this is an indoor venue, so I would specify that. And I happen to know that this venue doesn't require masks as long as you're vaccinated, and you have to be vaccinated to go in. So I'm going to select the vaccination required, and I'm going to remind my members to bring their ID and Vax card. We have the ability to add a host, like Alissa mentioned. So you would just type in your host's name here. Happen to be logged in as Natasha O right now. But if I wanted to add a host, that's me, handsome trombone player and baby. I could do that if I wanted to, but I'm going to keep this one as just the organizer. And lastly, we have some optional settings here. If you wanted to make this a reoccurring event, you could do that and have it repeat on some kind of cadence. I'm going to make it a one-time event. You can ask your members a question. Since this is like a food-based event, I might say, like, do you have any food allergies? And then when they're RSVPing, they can let you know an answer to that. This is a small venue, so I'm going to go ahead and say I want to limit this to only 5 members. And then you can choose to allow guests or not, and say how many guests each member gets to bring. RSVP start and end time. So you can set when you want your RSVPs to open and close. Typically, I like to open them right away. And then if you were doing an event where maybe you needed to let your venue know how many people were coming a few days in advance, you could close your RSVPs, let's say 2 days before, and then you're not going to get any last minute RSVPs, and you'll have a firm number to give your venue. Lastly, you have an option to charge an event fee, and you can do this either off Meetup using cash or Venmo or Cash App, something like that, or you can use PayPal. And we have that integrated into Meetup so that when a member RSVPs to your event, they are taken to PayPal to pay for the event fee, and then they're RSVP'd after they've paid. You need to set that up by linking your PayPal account to Meetup, and we have all the instructions here. You just have to follow this link right here, and you'll be instructed to do that. So I'm not going to charge an event fee for this one. And I'm going to go ahead and preview this to make sure that everything looks the way I want it to look. I think my photo looks great. And you can see where I've added the COVID safety measures there, and then my how to find us information here. So I will go ahead and publish my event. And then you can announce it to your members. So this will send out an email to the members of your group. So a great way to keep your members engaged, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, is to keep posting variety of different types of events. That just keeps them interested, coming back and looking at your group. And you can keep members in the loop by using our communication tools to send them updates. So something that I like to do personally when I'm hosting an event, I will send an email just a few days before the event happens as a reminder to people who have RSVP'd, and to hopefully get some of those last minute RSVPs so that I have a nice full event. So I'm going to hand it over to Alissa, and she's going to show us how to do that.
Well, I almost missed the mute button again. Thanks again. So again, as Alex stated, I'm going to just go over some communication tools. We have several different methods to get in touch with your members, but it all depends on what your aim is. So I'm actually going to start with the events page because that's where Alex left off. So I'll show you 2 ways that you can communicate with your events. After that, oh, thank you. So the first event method that you can use for contacting is contact the attendees. You can use that to make changes about the event. You can send maybe a thank you message for people that came to your event, or any last minute changes that you want to give to members who have already RSVP'd. This is a great way to keep them on the loop. Another one, which is on the right-hand side, is called event comments. This can help you answer questions or basic information for your event so that everyone can view on that page, and it doesn't require you to send an email. The thread is also accessible to members who might have similar inquiries, and it just would be a quick area for them to read, whether they're on the computer or on the app. So you can see under the second picture, I made a note. That's actually my good old friend Natasha. So she wrote a response, and you could see there's responses below that to answer questions. And I think that's a great way to keep communication with their members in. Our next one is called the discussions. It looks similar to the event comments, but it's actually kind of like a common thread. Again, it's a quick engagement tool on the page, on your group page. You just go to the discussions tab, and you can just maybe ask your members maybe for ideas for a next meeting, or any type of questions that you want to or even just a regular discussion for your group's members. So this is just an example of a thread on the right where Natasha has a question and everyone else responds with an answer. So they can be engaged by communicating with the members and with each other. So it's kind of a cool way for the members to also get to know each other as well. The next tool that I want to share is called the Contact Members tool. This is on the next slide. That's the primary messaging way to message your members on the whole group. You can add an image using the text box. You can modify your font style, and you can also include hyperlinks. So there's a little bit of creativity that you can use when you're making your messages. And that's pretty much it for that particular one. And also, you can use your contact members tool to create a custom list. So what this is that you can create a specific name for members that you want to message. So on the first slide, you can send your message to a custom list. And when you select that button, you can see a list of members that aren't on the list, and then you can move them to the list that you want. And in this one, Natasha has named her group event planners, and she's added 2 people that she wants to communicate with. And then when she sends the message, it would only go to those 2 members. So you can add and you can remove people. So I just wanted to just let you guys know that. The last communication tool is we have a special email address. We actually have 2, called the mailing list and the announcement address. And what can you do with these email addresses? Well, the address is specifically connected to your Meetup group, and it uses your group's name by default, but you can modify the email address that best suits your needs. So if you have a long group name, you can use an acronym, for example. And it also can be used to create more rich text-friendly emails to personalize updates to your group, meaning that you can actually use your email client as an organizer to send a message to this email address, which will send your message out to all the members of your group. Again, you have the ability to use your email client to create a more stylized email option, such as font, bold, italics, images. But again, we want to keep it simple because you're sending it, depending on how many members you send, you want to just make sure that it's available to everybody. So I want to actually share an example of how I use this tool on the next slide. So this is my listing email address. Oh, it's gone. Oh, there it is. So this is my email. I use Gmail to create this message. As you can see, I have some images. I have kind of my details of what I want to talk about. Basically, like Netflix shows that I thought would members that would be interested in, and we could discuss. So after making these little changes, I'll show you what it looks like to the member. And for the next slide, this is what it looks like. So it's very clean, has everything I wanted. The pictures aren't too big, it fits, and it still shows everything that I need to communicate to the members. The one thing I want to share is, what is the difference between the announcement address and the mailing list address? Because obviously there are two. The difference is, for the mailing list, you can allow members to reply to the mailing list if you have any questions, and that will be available. I'm sorry, if they have any inquiries or want to reply, they can respond to that thread specifically. But for the announcement email address, that is only available to your leadership team and yourself. So it's not something that members can actually reply to, and a thread cannot keep going. So just want to let you know those are the two differences. So hopefully that'll give you some idea of using those if you need to, and it'll be fun. I like how mine looks, so hopefully you will have fun using that as well. And that is all from me. Oh, wait, there's one more. The last one that I have is private messaging a member, which is very simple. You would go to your group page and you would go to your member listing. And for each member, there will be a messaging icon. So if you want to communicate with somebody privately, you can use this option to message a member. So that's pretty much it for that. And then once again, I'm just going to recap here what you can use these tools for. And I hope that that can be helpful once you start sending messages again to members of your group. So that is it from me. Thanks again.
Thanks, Alissa. All right, we're going to move into Meetup Pro. So at a certain point in your time as an organizer, you may find that you want more tools to manage your groups. For my group, we'd grown to be over 100 members, and some of our original members were now moving out of the New York City area back home, or wherever they may be. And they wanted to continue the idea of our group in those new locations. So we upgraded to Meetup Pro so that they could start chapters of our group in their new locations. And with Pro, we were able to manage a network of music groups and get the added benefit of all the fun analytics and messaging tools that come with that. So we have our special guest from the Meetup Pro team here to talk more about that. How's it going, Josh?
Hi, Alex. Thank you for the introduction. Hi, everybody. I'm Josh. I'm a customer success manager here at Meetup. Very excited to talk to you a little bit more about Meetup Pro today. But first, I want to plug the great job that the rest of the team has been doing, and the fact that after my segment, there's going to be a demonstration of our Organizer app. And that's like one of the coolest things we're going to release in the coming year. So stay tuned, don't go away. But first, let me talk a little bit about Meetup Pro. So what is Meetup Pro? For those who haven't heard of it, Meetup Pro is a type of organizer subscription that gives you enhanced tools that will help you manage your community. So it comes with everything that our standard subscription comes with. You can create groups, create events, use all those communication tools that Alissa just laid out. But it also offers an extra set of tools that can help you manage your group more effectively and also grow your group. One other feature it offers that I want to mention, you can organize more than 3 groups. So our standard subscription, you're limited to 3 groups. With the Meetup Pro subscription, you can organize an unlimited amount of groups. Obviously, we know it can get hard to organize that many groups. So we have tools that help you manage your network of groups. But even if you just organize one group, we have advanced analytics tools and also communication tools that can help you reach out to your members, figure out what's going on with your groups, and really effectively manage them. So on this next slide, I'm going to start jumping into what we have when you upgrade to Meetup Pro and what you'll get. I can't cover everything, but I'm going to go through some of the basics. And also you'll get a glimpse at the end. I'm going to do a demonstration. You'll get a little glimpse of what the Pro dashboard looks like and what all those tools look like. First, though, I want to go over the branded network profile. So when you upgrade to Meetup Pro, You'll get a network profile. If you have one group, it'll be displayed here. If you have multiple groups, they'll all be displayed here. On the right, you can see this is the network profile for the Biddle network. I know it's a little hard to see, so I'm posting a link in the chat right now if you want to take a look at it on your own browser up close. But as you can see, they've put their custom background photo. So they have a nice photo showing what they're all about. They have a description telling you that they're a community for Ethereum developers and a little more detailed description below that. Below those things that catch the eye of members when they first come to the page, there's a map that shows all the groups across the world. This particular network has 88 groups. They've really grown very large and been super successful, so it's great to see. And you can see those stats. I know it's a little tiny, but you can see next to where it says hashtag Bill Network in the middle there, you see they have 55,000 members. They're in 42 countries, 88 groups. Thank you, Gwyn, for circling it. That's very helpful. Also, there's a search function for events. So members can come to this page. They see events in all of the groups listed on the page, and they can search for events that might be interesting to them. If you were to scroll down further on this page, you can see it a little bit at the bottom. There's a list of all the groups as well. So they can see every group around the world. And that little tiny button that's kind of hard to see on the screenshot in red is where they can contact the network admin. So if they're not quite sure whether they want to join or they just want to ask a question, they can get in touch with you there very easily. On the next slide, I believe we have some examples here of what branded network profiles look like. So this is just showing the flexibility of this header, is what we call it at the top, that tells people what your network is all about. On the left-hand side, you have Cloudera Future of Data. They have this photo that looks like you're riding through a data portal, shows their really cool tech network. On the right side, you have the WESOS network, Women Supporting Women in Business. I love this photo. It shows the connection between the women, and that's what they're all about. It's about supporting each other and being there for each other and being a great network of entrepreneurs who help each other grow their businesses. All right, so here's a really brief rundown of kind of the overview of what you can get with the Pro tools. So first, you can sort and filter all of the data. We offer data on members, on events, on groups. Whatever way you want to slice it, we have filters. We have quick filters where you can see, for example, in that screenshot, the upcoming events in the next 30 days across all your groups. You can also download this data, so you can put it into Excel and sort and filter as much as you'd like. One place where this comes in handy is contacting your members. So you can segment your community. For example, if you wanted to find all your members who haven't been active or haven't RSVP'd in the last 90 days across all of your groups, you can segment those out. You can contact them directly through Meetup. So we offer options where you can contact people across groups, or you can export that information either to MailChimp through our built-in integration or to any other service you might use. Whatever you use to email people, you can get that data into that service. One other thing I want to mention is that you can collect email addresses with Meetup Pro, or you can collect other professional information such as people's full names, where they work, their positions, stuff like that. So how this works is a couple ways. First, for collecting email addresses, that's automatic. When you upgrade to Meetup Pro, all of your events that you host after you upgrade, when people RSVP, they'll consent to sharing their email address with you. So as you continue to host events after you upgrade to Meetup Pro, you'll start collecting a fuller and fuller list of email addresses, which you can export or do whatever you'd like with, as long as it meets our terms and conditions. Also, we have a registration form. So that's where the professional information comes in. You get a new extra option unlocked when you're scheduling an event as a pro organizer, where you can activate this registration form and decide whether you'd like to ask people to put in their full name, their position, the company they work for, and that sort of information. You can then download that information after the fact directly from the Pro dashboard. Okay, this is a newer feature that we were really excited. It launched last spring. As you may know, Meetup used to be only in-person events. Now, of course, we've embraced online events and we're so happy to have them. But one thing we noticed our pro organizers asking for, especially those who have multiple groups, is that they wanted to schedule a single online event in multiple groups at once. And so we launched this feature in the spring where you can select multiple groups on your pro dashboard and easily schedule a single event in those groups with the click of a button. Then we have this new section on the pro dashboard, the network events section, where you'll see those events listed. You can edit and announce those network events as needed. You can also view all the attendees across your groups and export that information. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now and give you a little demonstration of what this looks like for those who are interested. Okay, so first, I wanted to take this time, even though I'm supposed to be demonstrating this specific feature, I wanted to just give a quick view of what the Pro dashboard looks like. When you upgrade to Pro, you'll see this Pro dashboard button at the top of your page. And when you click it, you'll land on the analytics page at first. Now, this is just a test network I have, not a real network, but you'll see some helpful stats here of your total members, your total events hosted, RSVP growth. This is great stuff to keep an overview of your network and see how things are growing and changing. I can't get into all the different sections of the Pro dashboard today, but I'm going to jump into just demonstrating how network events work. So first, if you'd like to schedule an online event in multiple groups, you're going to click this groups button here. You see I have 4 groups in my network, and here are the filters I mentioned earlier, where if I had a lot of groups, I could easily filter between them. Now, to schedule an event in multiple groups, I have to select more than one group here. So I'm going to select these 3. And you'll see it specifies I can use these groups to create a network event because I'm an organizer in all of them. I'll click this Create Network Event button now. You saw earlier there was a demonstration of how to create an event. This is almost exactly the same. So I'm not going to go through all of it. I'm just going to go through the differences. First difference is that you're going to see at the top of your page, you're creating a network event as in big layers, so you make sure you know that you're creating this in more than one group at once. Down here, title and description and time are going to be the same, except for the fact that you can choose the time zone that you're going to be publishing your event in. Now, the neat trick about this, I'm on the East Coast, so I'm going to select US Eastern as my time zone. But I'll go down here and I see I'm scheduling one event in Switzerland, one event in Los Angeles, and one event that's in my time zone in Brooklyn here. It's automatically translating that event time across groups. So I see that this event is actually at 1 a.m. in Switzerland. That's no good. I'll probably have to change the event time because nobody from Switzerland is going to want to come. But this is super handy. It's going to publish that event in the correct time. Even if you go back and change it later, it'll make those changes across all of your groups. I'm not actually going to put in information and publish this event yet, but instead I'm just going to show you real quick what an event would look like if I published it. I have one pre-created here. So once you publish it, it takes a few minutes, but it'll show up in your network events tab here on the Pro dashboard. So here's my Hello Meetup Live event. You can see it's in 4 groups, 4 RSVPs, and all this other helpful information. It's an upcoming event. I have already announced it, but if you hadn't announced it already, you would see an announce button here. Clicking that would announce it across all of your groups. And this button here allows you to edit it, contact the attendees across all groups, or cancel the event. The thing to note is that these changes occur across all the groups. So when you publish a network event, it's not possible to edit it on an individual group basis. You edit it across all the groups. But of course, that comes in handy because you don't want to go making changes one by one across groups. The last thing I'd like to show here is that if you click on the name of the event, you get a list. These are links out. If I clicked here to each instance of the event in each group, and you get a list of attendees, which you can export as well. So if you have any questions about that, please put it in the Q&A. We'd love to answer that or any other questions that you have about Pro. And with that, let's go back to the slides, please, Gwyn. Okay. I know I didn't get to cover a ton here, but I don't want to waste more time because we got the Organizer app demo next. So if you want to learn more about Meetup Pro, please go to meetup.com/pro. We have a 30-day free trial, so you can check it out, see if it's good for you, see if the tools are working for you. Also, we have a Meetup Live scheduled on January 11th, which is a Tuesday from 3 to 4 p.m. We've got some great pro organizers who are going to come talk about how they use Meetup Pro. You'll get a glimpse into more of the tools as well. So that's all I have for you. And thank you again for the team for having me today.
Thank you, Josh. You did that so much better than I would have. Definitely consider going to that Meetup Pro live session if you are interested at all in Meetup Pro. All right, next we're going to hand it over to Gwyn to talk about our very exciting organizer app.
Hi, everybody. I'm Gwyn. I'm the Director of Customer Experience at Meetup, and I get to work with all of these amazing people that have been presenting today. And I am here to share a video from our mobile apps team about the new Organizer app beta testing that we are very excited about. It's going on right now. I'm going to share this video, and then we'll share a form and link in the chat if you're interested in enrolling in future beta testing. So let's see if I can get it.
Hi, I'm Caitlin, and I'm the product designer on the Organizer app here at Meetup. I'm really excited to show you guys the progress that we've made in creating an app that allows you to host events successfully in your community. For our initial release, we're going to focus specifically on event creation, allowing you to edit, track, and even create events while on the go. Everything is going to be based off of this screen here. This is your group info screen. It's going to include your profile, your group info, upcoming, past, and even draft events, and down here at the bottom, blog here for helpful hosting tips. When you tap on an event, you're going to see a screen that actually looks pretty different from the event screen on the current Meetup app or on the website. This screen is optimized to be a quick glimpse of event details that you need to know as an organizer, including how many people are going and hosting, the primary details that your guests are seeing, and optional settings you may toggle on or off. The most helpful tool here is going to be this Manage Event button. Everything you need will be located right under here. Let's say for this event you've had a couple of requests to allow guests to attend this book club meeting. Well, this event doesn't currently allow for guests. All you need to do is tap Manage Event and edit the event. Scroll down to allow guests, toggle that on, and save. And voila, you can now allow guests to your event. One thing we're really excited about is this Create Event button right here. When you tap that, you get two options. You can both create an event from scratch, or you can copy an event from past events or templates. Watch how quickly I can create a brand new event. I know that the September book club meeting was really successful, so I just want to copy it. I have all the information already loaded. The only thing that can't happen is the date. September 1st is in the past. So we simply need to select a new date and publish, and it's that easy. We are super excited to be showing this to you guys, and we can't wait to iterate further and make sure that you guys have every single tool you're going to need as an organizer to host these successful, awesome events. Thanks for listening.
Amazing. Yeah, we're really excited about this, this beta and the future releases that are coming up. And we're testing it with a small group of organizers who currently only organize one group on their account. So right now, that's who the beta is available for. If you're interested in participating in a future test of this app, we're going to share a link right now in the chat. And you can fill out the form, and somebody from our apps team will reach out, and we'll get you in the beta. All right. And we always like to share quickly, because we are the support team at Meetup, how do you contact support? Because that is a very popular question that we get. So here's a little GIF right here of, let me make it bigger so everybody can see it, of how you can reach out to us. So we want to always make sure that you know how to find the help when you need it. We have a help center at help.meetup.com. We're going to share that in the chat right now, and you can bookmark that. You can navigate to that site, and there's right here, you can see that we have a little widget on the bottom right where you can type in any question that you might have. And if you can't find the answer, there's a way to contact support. So you can see that that's being demonstrated here. And that ticket and that form goes straight to one of us, and we will reply back to you with support. We know that many people want to be able to contact us directly without going to the Help Center. So we also are going to share a link in the chat to a direct support form that you can also bookmark and fill out to contact us directly. You don't even need to go to the site. You can just go to that link and you can contact us filling out that form. We don't have phone support, but we are piloting chat support in the new year. More info on that soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Gwen. And with that, we will enter into our Q&A segment. We have about 5 minutes left to do that. So let's get started. Let's see. I see a question about embedding videos. The question was, let's see here. If the linked video is hosted by Meetup or if the video needs to be hosted somewhere else like YouTube. The answer is YouTube and Vimeo are the two types of videos that you can embed right now. We also got a question about collecting members' email addresses. This is a feature that is specific to Pro. So if you would like to collect email addresses for your members, you'll need to upgrade to Pro.
There is a question I meant to actually type a response to, but there's one asking where you can find approval criteria. So I'm going to actually enter the link to how Meetup groups get approved and what the criteria is being looked for. I'll go ahead and enter it in the chat. So you'll have a way to see this.
I see another question about, can you schedule an event across multiple groups on the standard subscription? And the answer to that is no. You only have the ability to do that on Pro. Of course, you could like manually copy and paste all of that across multiple groups on a standard subscription if you wanted to, but it wouldn't be that nice feature that Josh showed us. Let's see. Josh, you want to take this one about groups, Meetup Pro groups needing, like, do they need to have the same name or do they need to be in the same state?
Yeah, this is a great question, a great opportunity to just be very exact about what you get with Meetup Pro. So there's no restrictions on what you name your groups or where you put them with Meetup Pro. You can put them in the same state, name them whatever you'd like. But the thing about Meetup Pro is you get that network page that I showed in some of my earlier slides. And that network page is only going to have one name. So you name your network something that exemplifies what your groups are all about. And then all of your individual groups can be linked to that network. I hope that's clear. Alex, if you think that's not clear enough and want to like elaborate, go for it.
I think that's clear. While we have you talking, can you answer the question about RSVPs across network events?
Yes. So I think the question was, are attendees counted if they RSVP to multiple network events or multiple of the same network event across the groups? Do they count only once or they count multiple times? The answer is if they RSVP to multiple of the same network event in each group, they will be counted each time they RSVP right now. We may change that in the future so that you can have a more accurate RSVP count, because we know that can be a little inaccurate if, for example, the event host right now is counted multiple times because they're hosting the same event. So great question. Thank you for asking that.
Cool.
There was a question about, can I use the email list to promote my life coaching business? And I think that's a yes, absolutely. It is possible to do that. There's probably some best practices that you can get from other organizers, and Alex is gonna share in a moment. There is a Facebook group of Meetup organizers that's really amazing and robust with a lot of really seasoned organizers, and that might be a great place for anyone who wants to get any tips and tricks on how to promote businesses or host really popular events. So we'll share that in the chat in a few minutes.
Cool, I just shared it. All right, it is 4 o'clock, so we are all out of time. Thank you so much for those awesome questions. If you have more questions that we weren't able to get to, please don't hesitate to reach out to our support team or join that community of organizers on Facebook, where you can crowdsource your questions there. And they're always discussing best practices and giving tips and tools to each other for how they're organizing their groups. So thank you, everyone. Hope you have a good rest of your day and a good holiday coming up.